the tax bill. That is why today, on this program, we have decided to bring in a tax expert from the labor perspective to look. We will now take some labor tidbits that happened in the past 1 week.
Nigerian Labour Congress has refuted Senate President Godswill Akpabio's claim that less than 30% of Nigerians pay tax. The group said its members represented the largest tax-paying community in the country. NLC's head of Information and Public Affairs, Benson Uba, said while Akpabio's claims could not be immediately verified, significant Nigerians in the informal sector, including livestock marketers, farm produce sellers, and artisans pay taxes. Uba said accountability and transparency in the government's use of tax revenues had been almost non-existent. Reacting, the TUC refuted claims. NCEA blamed the government for the low payments. Speaking with newsmen, the Deputy President of Trade Union Congress, Tommy Okun, questioned the accuracy of Akpabio's claims, pointing out that the Federal Inland Revenue Services consistently exceeded its revenue target. An assistant controller at Nigerian Customs Service, Clement Anawa, has underscored the importance of verifying the national identity of cross-border workers to reduce the crime rate across the country. Amawa, the officer in charge of Owumba Station Yiwa North, made this known in an interview with newsmen on Tuesday in Ota, Ogun State. According to him, it is necessary to verify the national identity of cross-border workers to stop instant cases of insecurity in the country. Amawa attributed some of the crimes committed across the country to those who hide under the disguise of cross-border workers as seeking employment opportunities in Nigeria. He said that emerging security operatives across national borders had increased the focus and concerns on cross-border trade. According to the assistant controller, the porous border is a major challenge as it affects CBT significantly by facilitating smuggling and undermining legitimate trading. The Senate public hearing on tax reform bills has wrapped up. Stakeholders are expected to make their final submissions before the bills move forward in the legislative process. Two-day hearing organized by the Senate Committee on Finance is aimed at gathering experts' input on key tax reforms that are intended to enhance revenue generations and improve fiscal management in Nigeria. On Monday, government officials, industry leaders, and civil servants groups presented their views on the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Fund Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Services Bill, the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, and the Nigerian Tax Bill. Today's sessions is expected to conclude these discussions and address any concerns raised before the proposed legislations is refined and moved to the next stage in the legislative review process. Senator Sani Musa, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, assured the process will be transparent and in the nation's best interest. He emphasized that the hearing was designed to modernize Nigerians' tax laws in making them more in line with current economic realities while also ensuring fairness, inclusivity, and efficiency. Nigerian Customs Service has raised an eyebrow against some aspects of the tax reform bills currently before the National Assembly, saying they conflict with provisions of the Customs Act 2023. This came as the Senate promised to produce legislation from the bills that would assist President Bola Tinubu's administration to raise a target of $1 trillion economy for Nigeria. In his presentation on the second day of the public hearing organized by the National Assembly on the bills yesterday, the Controller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Mr. Adewale Adeniyi, identified what it called conflict in the bills with some provision of Nigerian Customs Act 2023. The custom boss, who urged the Senate Committee on Finance to address the anomaly ahead of the third and final reading of the bill, said, and I quote, "We have started to get result of this modernization of our tax laws." Also, at the public hearing yesterday, the Senate pledged to produce legislations from the tax reform bills that will achieve President Bola Tinubu's target of realizing a $1 trillion economy for Nigeria.
The tax regime in Nigeria is made up of a complex web of disjointed tax laws, which leaves much to be desired in terms of efficiency and effectiveness, both in administration and in achieving the nation's fiscal policy goals. As we speak, the tax reform bill is being taken care of at the National Assembly with the public hearing. But from the perspective of Labour, today on our program is Comrade Eustace James of the Nigerian Labour Congress, a Senior Assistant General Secretary in the Research and Policy Analysis Department of Congress. Comrade James holds a master's degree in Labour Policy and Globalization from the Global Labour University at the University of Kassel in Berlin and the Berlin School of Economics and Law, Germany. Thank you for staying tuned. You are still listening to Labour Forum on Citizen 93.7 FM. We want to make this program to be interactive. You could therefore call us on 090-322-29797. I repeat, we want this program to be interactive. You could therefore call us on 0903-22-29797. You could also join us on live streaming on Citizen FM 93.7. Just type in Labour Forum. You can also listen to us online on www.citizenfm or follow us on any of our social media platforms. On Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja, on Instagram at Citizen FM 93.7, or on X at Citizen 937. The promoters and drafters of the proposed bill have done their own job. Public hearing is ongoing at the National Assembly. Here today, like I told you, my guest is Comrade James of the Nigerian Labour Congress. We'll take a short break before we start our discussion for today. Please don't go away. Stay tuned. Yes, comrade, let me formally welcome you to this program today.
Thank you very much for welcoming me and for having me on your program.
Thank you. Yes. You are going to look at the ongoing tax reform bill from the perspective of Labour. So tell us, what is tax justice?
Well, first, to respond to your question, tax justice, as the name goes, is a tax system, a tax regime that is fair and just to every taxpayer. It's a system that encompasses progressive tax practices in terms of administration and that also promote progressive tax policies. So tax justice is a system where people pay according to what they earn. It's a system that protects the very poor and the vulnerable.
Thank you. So the the ongoing debate on the tax bill. What is your take on it?
You see, first, as an individual and also a member of the Tax Justice and Governance Platform in Nigeria, there are a lot of misfeelings that goes with the correct attempt to reform the tax system and tax administration. First, there are 4 bills. It's just that the popular one is the tax bill, which seems to reform the tax administrative system in Nigeria. There's a tax administrative bill, there is Nigeria Revenue Service bill, and there's also a joint revenue board establishment bill. But the question about the tax bill, which basically seems to reform the VAT system and the tax collection rates, is the one that is really contentious. And why is this so contentious? First, because there's little that people know about this bill. Secondly, it has been proven that there were no wider consultation of the various stakeholders before formulating this bill and sent to the National Assembly. Yes, we are very well aware that the president set up a committee ended by Oyedele to look at tax and what they call the financial fiscal system, and with a view to come up with a recommendation that will promote transparency, accountability, and sustainability in terms of revenue generation for the government, and which tax is known to be a major one. The most contentious issue in that bill is the increase in VAT from 7.5% to 10%, with the long-term vision of increasing it to 15%. And the question is, VAT is not necessarily a progressive tax tool. It is basically a regressive tax tool because it is charged on goods and services which are consumed by both the rich and the poor. And if VAT is placed on flat rate on all of these goods, you find out that the poor, those at the ladder of the revenue structure, suffer more than those who earn higher income. So for us as workers, for us as representatives of the workers, it is our responsibility to ensure that we defend the interest of the working people, whose salary, as we know, is nothing compared to what it should be. The question is this: the threshold of 800,000 when it comes to PTAX now, personal income tax, you find out that with the recent law, minimum wage law, that has raised minimum wage to 70,000 naira, basically almost every worker will be affected by this tax review that is being advocated, that is being pursued through the bill. And once this bill scaled through and become legal instrument, it will be binding on every Nigeria. And you find out that the poor workers will suffer more because they will be made to pay more, and it will make nonsense of the said minimum wage, which is expected to lift the working poor out of poverty.
Yes, comrade, if I may take you there, I think my understanding is that anybody earning less than 1 million per month will not fall into the tax net. But the way it is, do you think that the government is being sincere?
Well, first, it's not 1 million naira, it's 800,000 naira.
Sorry, the 800,000 is even less than 70,000 per month.
That is the point we are making. So, which means that every Nigerian worker will fall into the tax regime that they are talking about.
So, in that case, what is the way forward?
the way forward is that there should be wider consultation, especially with the working people, and the bar should equally be raised. If you listen to the public hearing yesterday, our sister labor center, the TUC, is already advocating that the bar should be 2.5 million naira. But I think a lot can be done through engagement, through discussion, and through consultation.
Okay. Even a part of the concern, the free trade zone community, like Section 57, Section 60, Section 180, was talking of harmonizing taxes to be collected with, from more than 60 agencies. How is that possible? Is that not an invitation to confusion?
No, the truth is that if we have a well-structured administrative system, it would be nice if the tax collection system is harmonized with a view to promote transparency and accountability. But the issue is that the major agenda is pro-business. You find out that even within these issues of VAT, they are trying to reduce corporate taxes and increasing personal income tax. And corporate taxes, that is where the high net worth individuals operate. So if you are shifting the body of the high net worth individual to the poor, what it means is that it is the poor that will be subsidizing the rich. And that already is a complete contradiction of the idea that this is to reform the tax administrative system, make it better and pro-poor. It is not pro-poor.
Okay.
Rather, it's pro-business.
So are you now advocating that the tax bill should be withdrawn for further consultation?
That is the ideal thing. If the government is actually the government of the people, it is on record that almost every Nigeria is crying over this bill, irrespective of the media propaganda that people have been consulted, majority are in support of it. But if you go to the grassroots, you feel the pulse of the people. They should be withdrawn, and there should be proper consultation to have better informed and well-framed bills that should be sent to the National Assembly.
Okay. As it is, we'll go on a short break. But I'll tell my listeners not to go away, because we are still on Labor Forum discussing the issue of tax and tax justice. Yes, comrade. I'm sure you must have gone through the bill. What is your opinion on this issue of a TED fund that is proposed to be abolished, considering how TED fund has served public universities?
For me, I think there is some confusion somewhere, because I wouldn't see why reforming the tax system have to bring in the issue of an institution that is responsible for improving its infrastructure, for improving efficiency, for training staffs in the university. Yes, Tedford draw its fund from a tax that is other education tax. So Tedford is not collecting tax. Rather, it is an administrative institution that is simply helping university to improve its infrastructure and manpower. So abolishing third fund in the guise of reforming the tax system, for me, is a contradiction. That's why I say I think there is confusion somewhere.
I think the same issue. There's also the Naseni, that is also a regime. Do you have the same opinion?
The same thing applies. Except if you think that the responsibilities or what these agencies were created to do are no longer existing. If you can prove it, but you know that our public university, the infrastructures have decayed, the educational standard is dwindling, and this that fund was created to help to improve on that.
So as it is, comrade, what will be the way forward? Are you of the opinion that the bills should be withdrawn and there should be more consultation rather than this hush and all that? Because initially the governors were against it. The northern governors especially were against it. But it seems there has been some political maneuvering, and all of them now seems to be on the same page. But from the Labour perspective, what is your opinion?
When I read the response after the governors forum met, you could see that the only thing visible there was just their concern over the sharing formula of VAT, not the substance of those bills. And they came up with a proposition that seems to favor the state. So you could see how office bearers and those in authority in Nigeria are thinking. It's purely about their own interest. So if it is adopted that this formula they give should be, the governors already are supporting the bill. But that is not the issue. The issue first is that we should look at the ideological underlining behind these bills. These bills are IMF and World Bank driven agenda to tax the poor with, as in when they take resource for development, that tax is the most sustainable source of fund for development. But undermining the level of poverty, the ability and capacity of the citizen to pay this tax. And if you watch, the whole debate is about revenue generation. Nobody is talking about the demand side. What is in there for the people if you collect this revenue? How much services, social protection system are functional in Nigeria that you can say this will cushion the effect? Or when people pay tax, they say, yes, my tax is working for me. That is not on the table at all. It's all about revenue generation. It's all about revenue sharing. I think this reforming the tax system is beyond that, and that is where we really need to have a holistic look, a thorough approach to reform of the current tax regimes.
Okay, comrade. I will call on the tax officials, the honchos in tax administration, tax experts, to come on this program, Labour Forum. Let us hear your perspective. This is an issue that affects virtually everyone in this country. It shouldn't be left to the politicians. It shouldn't be left to those in government. It is all encompassing. Therefore, I'm giving an open invitation to tax experts, to government officials, especially those in tax administration, to come and be part of this debate on the issue of the ongoing debate on the tax bill. With this, I want to thank Comrade Eustace James for this intervention and coming to give a perspective, Labour perspective, to the issue of the tax bill. I thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Listeners, and those who are already glued to Labour Forum every Thursday, that is our package for this week. Until we come your way again next week, it is bye for now.
We couldn't. You couldn't do it.